Okay, Dr. Viva, thanks for explaining that to us. So, how do you think we can motivate people to vote today?
I would say they need someone that really is going to represent their interests and their needs. That's the disconnect. You may not see people who really represent your interests and your needs. Working class people, really, right? We know that people who are wealthy um, have the means, or maybe not even concerned as someone who may be working class in regards to when we think about taxes, when we think about how far does our dollar go, you know, where things are not the same. I'm just even thinking about health insurance, where I remember where I had a job, I didn't have to pay. If I chose this particular brand, I didn't have to pay no premium, right? It was all there. Now my premium is like close to $500 a month. And I work for the state. So when you think about someone who's really gonna do something for your interest, and you know what, just going back on healthcare, President Obama did the Affordable Care Act, and he did something a lot of people, right?
Mhm.
And there are particular groups of people who voted against their interests or people because of his skin color, his racial heritage, even though mother white, father black, right? And they call it Obamacare. And he created for those who have diabetes, where you can get your medication cheaper. You can get, if you need insulin, you need needles and all of this stuff cheaper. Go see a doctor, have access to health care. But you wanted to vote it against that because it said this and this, or what someone was telling you. Knowing that if you don't have these things, you're going to die. I think that's somewhere some of the people really took the time to understand it, and it has been able to withstand all of these fights against it, right? Because it was something that was really for the people, and people have benefited from it, like in even as a working class person. And this is for everyone. When you go for your annual checkups, right? For preventive, you don't have to pay a copayment. I might need that $25 to go towards my light bill or something, right? Or maybe I can, well, we can't get too much, but maybe I can get a fancier meal. Maybe I can eat steak tonight with my children and cook steak tonight, and we don't have to have some chopped meat or some chicken tonight. You know, that
But I think it
$25
goes
can make
back
that
to
difference.
changing the narrative because, like you said, a lot of that went along with it was intentional to put that term Obamacare with that, and so certain language that is used to be divisive and to be hateful, like you said, if you Obamacare and the Affordable Care Act are one and the same, and I remember one of the night shows doing, like, talking to people on the street, they said, "What do you think about Obamacare?" And they were like, "Oh, they were very against it." They said, "Well, what about the Affordable Care Act?" "Oh, well, that's okay." And so that's why it is very, very important for us to be knowledgeable for
Mhm.
ourselves about what things are. And so can you point people to a maybe resources, or maybe you can give me a resource list, but do you have anything that you can think of for people to go and research voting things that are on the ballot, like candidates? Uh,
Well, I think depending on each state, um, because I don't want to assume because I really more so know New Jersey. I haven't so much looked federally. I haven't been that involved, right, in that process. But you have an elections commission because there are certain laws in regards to election. And what someone does have to do um before on the ballot, because you have and all politics are local. Let me say that. All politics start with your municipality, where you live at, and it may just start with your block because you have voting districts, right? What happens in my block compared to the next one? So one of the first things you can look at, um, who files a petition, because you have to have signatures to get on the ballot. Um, so how do they get that done? And there are some people who have to file with the election commission, depending on the type of office. So I was a district leader at one time, but I didn't have to file anything, but I needed 10 signatures. So I walked around my district and got signatures. And then it gets confirmed by the county clerk. And different states or different counties may do something different, right? So that's how I got on the ballot. So you can also depends on who in the state and who in the county is over elections. So you see how I said two different names: the county clerk in the counties in the state of New Jersey, which are also responsible for passports, or because I'm a notary, where I go get sworn in to be a notary, right? So who would think that? But on a state level, if I want to know who filed papers with the election commission, I know that, and who, and if they're running on a team and all of those things, right? So you can see that, and with that, the state one, when you go to the election commission, you can also look to see who made donations or who made contributions to the campaign to know who's this is why they're voting like that. So New Jersey is known as a lot of pharmaceutical companies, and it was a lot of pay to play. I think it still is, but in another way. I call them the real gangsters, Cynthia. Those are the gangsters.
So there is info. So the key point is that that information is available right there with your county clerk office. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And
So
also, I'm sorry,
no, go ahead.
you may want to also look at areas that want to do civic engagement. If you belong to a particular party, they may tell you and give you information about candidates that you may can do some more research on. Nonpartisan areas may be like the NAACP, who has been around, and they may have, because they may go in regards to issues compared to like which candidates support your issues, um, compared to just what they stand for. Because for some of us, when I have taught sociology, we have, as African Americans, are much more conservative on social issues compared to economic issues, right? But because we like this, we really with the family. So you may look at someone who supports your issues, which is important. I think also to look at that and to know, are they running, and what reasons they may not be running, because people talked about Kamala Harris, although she ran for president, but she couldn't stay in a race. And we think about, there were people who were out, against her. They talked about her when she was what was she in California? Attorney General, I think.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And they talked about her record. So
Even
but
with your issues, it's like, again, observing the present, like what's currently going on in your household and in your neighborhood, and do you like what's going on, and who's going to support to continue to develop that, or if you don't like it, uh, who is talking about and presenting ideas that can really come to fruition to make a difference?
and um I'm just thinking about this, and it goes back some time, that MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving.
Mm-hmm.
I remember where drunk driving laws were not where they are at today. But a child got killed, and people organized around that issue. I think sometimes what happens, people get tired because change takes time. You got to have some stamina to stay in it. It's not instant, right? I'm talking about maybe 30 years ago. So my son is 34, my oldest son, maybe more than 34 years ago, right? Where there were no drunk driving laws in that sense. And now look at all of these laws that we have now. But MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, started organizing because we began to see the dangers of it, right? I remember riding in cars with no seat belts, 8 deep, right? But look at all of these laws now that we have around seat belts, and how we will get summoned and ticketed if we do not have a seatbelt. But so
True.
first it was around safety, right? How do you bring this issue out? So I think that's it, that people don't understand the importance of staying in it for the long haul.
And like you said, with certain things, the passion is what is going to drive you. So if you're really passionate about something, like I'm passionate about getting this information out about people voting in this 2024 election, and so I do think the passion and the faith will motivate you. And some of the things that you're sharing today is going to help somebody to be able to put into action and feel like, yeah, you know what? I can do this. And that's the case. You absolutely can. Your voice, your one voice, you speak to a small community, and that just continues to grow. And so, thanks for sharing that.